Are you in midlife and starting to think, God, there's got to be something more to this life than what I have going on right now, which is this endless to-do list for work, for family, for everyone else but yourself? If you're starting to think that or are thinking that, which I suspect that you do, because I know I have and many people in midlife do, then this video is for you. And fair warning, this is not a video about me telling you you need to go to Antarctica. Now, granted, I did go to Antarctica and it was amazing. There were penguins and whales and icebergs, but this isn't a travel vlog. This is truly a video about making the decision to go to Antarctica. That is what this video is all about. For years, I was a master at this, saying someday I will take the trip. Someday when I have more time, when I have more energy, I will take up that hobby that I wanted to do. Or maybe I thought, you know what? No, I'm gonna wait till I retire because I just have way too many things to do. I keep putting things off to someday, that someday trap that we get ourselves into. But here's the thing about someday. Someday is quiet. Someday doesn't nag at you. Someday just sits patiently at the bottom of the list of everything else and says, you know what? I'll just wait here until you decide to put me on the calendar. That's what someday does. It postpones your future. It postpones your joy to the future. It requires you to put that someday physically on the calendar, put you first. Choose to say, I'm not gonna wait someday anymore. I'm gonna choose now. I spent decades in this someday trap, working hard, saving, putting plans together for a future that I didn't know whether or not would come. But honestly, I forgot that I was allowed to start bringing some of those someday activities into now. I had permission to choose me right now. You know what you don't get once it's gone? Time. I kept telling myself, I'll do all the stuff that I enjoy when there's more time, when I retire, when things slow down, but none of that is guaranteed. I was literally watching my life pass me by day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. And before I knew it, I was in my 40s. I went from my 20s thinking, oh, I had all this time. And now here I am in I was in my 40s and now in my 50s thinking, where did the time go? And with that time, once it goes, what starts to bubble up are regrets. And regrets compound over time. Every day you tell yourself, someday there's a little regret that just adds to it and adds to it. And it just compounds over time. And it builds into something very large and just looming in your heart and in your soul. But you know what? You have today. And I'm here to tell you, you don't need to continue doing that. You don't need to continue saying, someday I will put me first. You can choose yourself right now, today. So here's the question that changed for me, and I hope it will change for you. Ask yourself, what are you waiting for? I know we said time, we know we said retirement, but what else is stopping you? What else are you waiting for? Are you waiting for permission to say that, yes, it's okay to choose you? It's okay to want what you want now, even in the midst of everything that's going on? Ask yourself, what are you waiting for? When I asked myself that question, it truly made me stop. And I said, you know what? I was waiting for permission to live my life. But back in 2024, I made the decision, you know what? And this was back when I was 51, going on 52. I said, you know what? I am not gonna wait anymore. I have this huge bucket list trip that I want to do. And I had thought it was gonna be sometime in retirement, which was gonna be 20 years, well, not 20, I guess at this point it was maybe 10 plus years out. I decided, you know what? I wasn't gonna wait anymore. And I was gonna choose to actually do this. And I chose to go to Antarctica. Back in 2025, it was probably April, I had asked friends and one of them said, yep, I will go with you to Antarctica. And in that April of 2025, we did research. In fact, I probably had been doing research up to that point, but did the research, selected an expedition, and we booked the trip. I made the decision enough was enough, and I booked the trip to Antarctica. I stopped waiting and I started to say, you know what, I can do this. But after I booked that trip, and I'll be honest with you, it was scary. It was scary in a sense of this was the biggest thing that I'd ever done. And it was huge. It was huge financially. I wasn't, to be honest, I wasn't exactly sure how I was going to pay for it, but it did work out. So that ended up relieving itself. But then also it was like, can I take the time off? Oh my gosh, I'm like, what, 6, 7 months out from the trip. What am I going to do? And honestly, once you make that decision and choose yourself, and as scary as it was, everything really started to work out. Here's the thing that people don't tell you when you do choose yourself. It's not just this beautiful, wonderful thing. It's scary and wonderful, but it brings back joy. It brings back life into you again. It's something that you're looking forward to. It is absolute proof that you deserve to start living your life now and not postpone it. Stop waiting. So one thing I learned about this trip is joy is not something that you magically just earn that doesn't pay you back until you retire, which is 10 plus 15 plus years from now. It's not something that joy is all of a sudden just going to miraculously start the minute you retire. Joy is something that you deserve right now in your everyday life, this week, this month, this year. That is something that honestly this trip to Antarctica really brought for me, because it wasn't just a trip that was exciting and brought joy and adventure, but it was the anticipation of that trip and leading up to it. It's that joy of, hey, I planned something in the future and I'm still living my daily life and doing work and all of this stuff, but I actually planned something and I'm looking forward to it. So when I went on this trip to Antarctica, I was there, I was absolutely immersed in everything that was going on. And we went to Buenos Aires first, which was a couple of days of just really exploring the city and really taking in all the sights and the experiences. But what it did was it gave me some time to decompress. And then by the time I got on the ship in Antarctica, well, in Ushuaia, and then on the way over the Drake Passage over to Antarctica, I really started to settle in and be very present. It really made me think, wow, I can't believe I did this big thing. But aside from that, it really started to make me think, what are the things back home that I can do to bring this joy, this presence back again? Are there other things that I have been putting off, much smaller than this big trip to Antarctica, but what are some of the other smaller things that I've been putting off? Like that cooking class, like taking smaller trips, visiting my family more. A lot of that really, that Antarctica trip just gave me that silence and that presence to really think and reflect on my life and what I'm doing with it and the years that I have left. By the time I got home after this big trip, granted I was exhausted and tired because it was, it was a long trip. That question really stuck with me. What is it that I'm waiting for? What is it that I'm postponing in my life, right? I'm back to the grind. I'm back at work. Now the holidays are coming because the trip was in November. So, getting all the gifts, planning the trips, that was something that, despite all of the going from a vacation, this huge bucket list vacation and coming back, that question really did stick in my mind. So here's the truth. The thing this whole trip was all about. I didn't need Antarctica to change me. What I needed was to know that I had the power to say yes and to choose a life that I was looking forward to. The minute I chose to go to Antarctica was really the choice or the time that I was choosing to say, you know what, I'm choosing me. And that really is the lesson. The lesson is making that decision to stop and choose yourself, even if it's for some small activity or some small thing that is really important to you. Make that decision to choose you. So here's the good news. So when you make that decision to choose you, you don't need a passport, you don't need some big budget, you don't need a lot of time. You just need to make the decision to choose you. And you can start doing that now. You can start it today, this week, this month. You just need to decide, I'm going to do it now. And you're not blowing up your life. You're just taking one activity, one day, one weekend, this week, this month, to say yes to you and to say yes to something that you've been putting off to someday. So, what I want you to do is think about this. What is it that you want to do that you've had on your mind? Is it maybe a restaurant? Is it maybe like a new restaurant in town? Is it a coffee shop? Maybe you've been running around with your kids and you're like, hey, or grandkids, you're looking around and you're like, hey, I've been passing by this particular park and I've been wanting to go to that park and you never had the time. Well, you know what? Pick it. Decide to do it. Decide to actually get out of the car. Drive by, get out of the car, sit and just take in nature. Decide to go into that coffee shop and go grab coffee and sit down just for a little bit. It doesn't have to be all day. It could be just for a few minutes. And if you're at a loss for what to do, because it's been so long since you've thought about, gosh, what brings me joy? I actually created a workbook. It's an AI prompt planner. Very simple, takes less than 15 minutes. It's called Adventure Starts This Weekend, and there's a link in the description for this video, and go ahead, access it. It's really quick. It asks you several questions, and it'll pop out multiple ideas for you for locally or wherever you're at, and based on your energy and your budget and the time that you have, go check it out, because that is something that I think you want to remove, any of the obstacles for you to enjoy your weekend. Check out the link and see if it's something that helps you. So let's go back to the start of the video when I asked you, hey, are you in midlife and starting to think, what in the world is this all my life has to offer? And hopefully throughout this video, you've started to think, you know what? It's not. There's actually a lot of life left, and I can start choosing to live my life now, starting today. I don't need this big Antarctica trip. I don't need a big budget, but that I have now to start making decisions to choose for yourself. This video is just one chapter of my life and choosing to live now. In my channel, I've talked about coming out late in life. I've also talked about ways that I want to build my life and live my life as I start transitioning from working into retirement. It's all about just choosing to stop waiting and start living. And so if any of this resonated with you, please subscribe and check out the rest of the videos in my channel. And subscribe for future stories and inspiration and motivation to get you to stop waiting and start living.